meine Arbeit für richtig hältst. Ob du glaubst, dass ich fleißig gewesen bin, dass ich gearbeitet habe, dass ich mich in diesem Jahr für dich eingesetzt habe, dass ich anständig meine Zeit...
And when we talk about World War II, images of the roar of cannons, the advance of tanks, and the fierce dogfights of fighter planes naturally come to mind. We also know more or less about the Normandy landings, Operation Barbarossa, or the epic battles that took place in the ruins of Stalingrad.
But do you know that in parallel with this open war, another war was going on behind the scenes? It was a silent, invisible, and much more complex war. It was a war of spies. The weapon in this war was not a rifle or a machine gun. The weapon was a false identity, where their names would have been erased from the pages of history. World War II was the golden age of espionage. Fascism, communism, and democracy created a situation where ordinary people were ready to risk their lives for an ideal. From Germany's ABO to Britain's MI6, the Soviet Union's NKVD, and the American OSS, everyone was playing their best tricks in this shadow war. How did these spy networks work? What incredible deceptions did they use to mislead the enemy? And what invisible victories influenced the most crucial moments of World War II? And from this hunger for information, modern intelligence agencies were born. Of course, many countries had their own powerful intelligence agencies even before World War II. For example, Germany's main military intelligence agency was the Abwehr, led by Admiral Wilhelm Canaris. But alongside it was the Nazi Party's own and much more formidable intelligence agency, the ESD. It was part of the SS and led by Reinhard Heydrich and later Ernst Kaltenbrunner. Interestingly, the fierce rivalry between these two agencies often hampered Germany's intelligence activities. Its job was not to increase espionage. Rather, it was to carry out sabotage, and organize local resistance fighters in enemy-occupied territory. Churchill ordered them to set Europe on fire. The Soviet Union also had two formidable and highly effective organizations. The NKVD, later known as the KGB, was in charge of state security and was responsible for conducting espionage and counterintelligence inside and outside the country. The GRU, on the other hand, was the Red Army's own military intelligence agency. Before the war, America had no central intelligence agency. After the attack on Pearl Harbor, President Roosevelt established the Office of Strategic Services, OSS, which was the predecessor to the CIA. For example, a spy had to create a cover story, a completely new and believable identity that would help him blend in with the enemy. Innovative methods had to be used to send information. The day drop was a popular tactic, where a spy would leave a message in a specific location, such as a tree stump or under a park bench, which would then be picked up by another person, so that the two agents would never see each other in person. The microdot was a groundbreaking technology where an entire page of information was compressed into the size of a typewriter full stop and sent with a regular letter. But radio transmissions could be detected by enemy radio direction finding equipment. So spies had to constantly change their location by sending very fast and short messages. The average lifespan of radio operators was only 6 weeks. The most important part of spy network was recruiting the right people. Agents looked for people who had access to important information about the enemy and who were ready to betray their country for ideological reasons, such as blackmail or revenge. Usually, spies used these tactics to wage their invisible war. In the heart of Nazi Germany, where Hitler and his generals were plotting world conquest, lurked an invisible enemy. They were one of the Soviet Union's most daring and successful spy networks. Hearing their musical Morse code, the German Gestapo coded the radio transmissions as the Rotkapelle, or Red Orchestra. The orchestra had one conductor, but its musicians and spies spread across Europe, right up to the government ministries in Berlin. His network sent invaluable information to Moscow about the German military production, the development of new weapons, and the concentration of their troops in Western Europe. The second was the Sols Biogen, or Harnack Group. This was the most incredible and most daring branch of the Red Orchestra, because its members were not spies. They were German citizens who were fiercely opposed to Hitler's regime. It was led by two men. One was Hans Sulzbiogen. He was a high-ranking officer in the German Air Force or Luftwaffe Intelligence Department, and the other was Arvid Harnack. The success of the Red Orchestra was extraordinary. They sent hundreds of important messages to Moscow between 1941 and 1942, which helped the Soviet High Command understand the German plans and take countermeasures. The information they sent is also believed to have played a significant role in Stalingrad's war preparations. But their success was their downfall. Their frequent radio transmissions attracted the attention of German counterintelligence. In mid-1942, German radio direction finding experts were able to locate a radio transmitter in Brussels. This was the beginning of the collapse of the House of Cards. As soon as one spy was caught, the names of other members of the network began to emerge through horrific torture and interrogation. By the end of 1942, almost all the main members of the network, including Leopold Trepper, Haraslus Biogen, and Arvid Harnacko, were captured by the Gestapo. Their fate was terrible. Hundreds of members were hanged or guillotined after summary trials. The most important chapter of the Shadow War during World War II was written at Bletchley Park, a quiet rural estate in England. One of the greatest intellectual triumphs of the 20th century was written here. And at the heart of this triumph was a machine called the Enigma and a group of extraordinary mathematicians and court breakers whose tireless efforts changed the course of the war. The Enigma was the German military's main cipher or code-making machine. It looked like a typewriter, but inside it was a complex electrical and mechanical system. It consisted of several rotors or rotating wheels and a plug board. When a letter was typed, electricity traveled an incredibly complex path through the rotor and plug board to illuminate another letter. They were led by Alan Turing, a brilliant mathematician who is considered the father of modern computer science. Turing and his colleagues realized that it was impossible to find new configurations of this riddle every day with the human brain alone. So, based on the work of the police, Turing designed a huge electromechanical device called the bomb. This device could quickly test thousands of possible configurations and find the correct setting. This success at Bletchley Park was top secret. This allowed them to safely navigate their valuable convoys and to locate and destroy groups of wolf packs or U-boats. Winston Churchill himself admitted that breaking the Enigma code was the most important factor in winning the Battle of the Atlantic. Through Ultra, the British were aware of almost every move made by German Field Marshal Erwin Rommel. They knew the state of Rommel's supply lines, how much fuel his tanks had, and where he planned to attack. This information helped General Montgomery win the Battle of El Alamein in North Africa. Ultra intelligence even played a key role in planning the Normandy landings and the battles that followed. It allowed the Allies to know where the Germans were strengthening their defenses and where their panzer divisions were located. The nearly 10,000 workers at Bletchley Park, most of whom were women, worked day and night in complete secrecy. Their contributions were unknown for decades. But today, historians agree that their silent and intellectual victory shortened the war by at least 2 years and saved millions of lives. It was the ultimate example of shadow warfare, where the pen and machine proved mightier than the sword. The world of espionage is not limited to gathering information or breaking codes. Their greatest success was a deception operation to mislead the Germans before the Normandy landings, which was almost as dramatic as a Hollywood movie. The British M5's double-cross system was at the heart of this operation. From the beginning of the war, M5 was able to identify and arrest almost all the German spies sent to Britain. But instead of killing or imprisoning them, they offered them an offer, either to be hanged or to work as double agents or double agents for the British. In short, almost everyone chose the second option. Through these mature agents, the British began to completely control the German intelligence agency Abwehr. Hitler and the German High Command were led to believe that the main Allied attack would not be in Normandy, but in the foothills. The foothills were the narrowest channel between England and France, and were the most logical place to attack. To prove this lie, the Allies created a huge ghost army. In southeast England, a fictitious army group, the first U.S. Army Group Fusag, was created to oppose the foothills. Its commander was appointed by Germany's most feared American general, George Patton.